G'day folks, it's Rob here and welcome to our aquaponic shade house in our small little backyard farm. Today's clip, I just wanted to run through the processes we go through coming into winter. Being in the southern hemisphere, we're coming into winter, or we're in autumn at the moment. So there's a few things we do to try and optimize the amount of sunlight that can make it to the plants and also to the fish tanks itself. So this is a bit of a part one. I'll just run through what I've done with the grow beds today, and then over the weekend Bianca and I will tackle the shade house and also replace a pump in the system, and I'll bring you along for a look at that as well. So I was going to give you a bit of a look at the fish, but unfortunately I popped the camera in to give you a bit of a bird's eye view from the top of the tank before I fed them. So I tossed some pellets in before and they just weren't interested. So we'll skip them today and we'll maybe catch up with them next time round. What I'll do is I'll take you around the grow beds and just show you what I've done to clean them out and tidy them up. The fish have just decided that they are hungry after all. So I'll probably finish those few pellets off by the time we finish filming the clip. But just to show you folks anyway, what I mean about the sun, getting the patch ready for it. You might be able to make out the sun through the shade cloth there. Pretty much all through summer it sets at the solstice, it sets over there. So that's why we've got this shade cloth over here. It protects the fish tanks from the hot summer sun and also gives the garden a bit of a break as well. But as you can see, half the grow beds, actually probably closer to 3/4 are shaded at the moment. So what we will be doing on the weekend is popping up some 20% shade cloth. All that will pretty much all be doing is keeping those leaves from fouling up the system and getting in the fish tank and whatnot when they fall off. We definitely do need to let a little bit more sunlight into the system. Just to show you though, during winter though, the sun will be setting over there, which is, over that way, and north is roughly round about there. So we end up with a fairly good solar aspect, if you want to call it that, coming into the grow beds here, and they get a lot of winter sun. Even over there in the back corner where the ginger are at the moment, that will be receiving sun as well. One of the other little jobs I do have to do is knock back some of those mango leaves just to let the morning sun come in from the east over there. So let it penetrate through to the grow beds. So there's a little bit on what we have planned for the weekend and why we're changing out the shade cloth. As for the grow beds, you can probably notice a fairly large change from the last time we came around with the camera. This front bed here, we've pulled out the cucumber that was in there, and also too the big Egyptian spinach that was standing in the middle. And what I've done is planted out a couple of bush beans just over this side here, and also a couple of KY1 or Scoresby dwarf tomatoes in a root pouch right next to my bell siphon. The reason I'm doing that is I'm doing a little bit of a test with these root pouches. I have grown some tomatoes in them before, these little 1 gallon or 3.8 litre ones, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and we had an absolutely smashing harvest of those yellow, what were they, summertime gold dwarf tomatoes. And I noticed when I pulled the pouches out, I had very little to no roots coming through the pouches and into the grow beds. So what I thought I'd do is tempt fate and plant one right next to a bell siphon just to see how many roots make it in there. It'll be easy enough for me to clean out and break off any roots that do clog it up. So just a little bit of an experiment. The other plants in here, we've still got the kangkong, which we're harvesting the new shoots from, and we're also harvesting a bit of the Brazilian spinach from here now. The bush beans I mentioned before, and the Malabar spinach is taking off. We've pinched a few small leaves here and there. You might be able to make out a couple of little flower spikes there, just there, and down at the base of this leaf here. So those little fellas, they'll be just pinched out a little bit later. It helps when you pretty much will just nip out those little flower spikes. It puts more energy into the leaf production, so I've been told. There's a little ladybug up there, one of the little black ladybugs we get. He's a friendly. And I've also noticed there's, excuse me matey, there's a bit of a new branch growth down in there as well. So hopefully this thing will bush out soon. As for the rest of the plants in the system, I did find a few little caterpillars over in this bed here. They're the little They're like a little army caterpillar or a leaf rolling caterpillar. They were down on the inner heart leaves of this plant here. I gave them a good squishing. I basically went through and manually got rid of them. I'm fairly sure I've got them all, but I did go out this morning and buy some Dipel or BT, Bacillus thuringiensis based insecticide, and I will be spraying the leaves of these plants and also the basil. I have noticed we're getting a couple of leaf rolling caterpillars in the basil as well, so I might hit them with it as well. The BT is all right to use with your aquaponics system. I still don't like to use it a lot. I'd probably only give it one or two sprays a season at the most. But yeah, the next pest for these guys will be the white cabbage butterflies when they turn up. The holes you can see in here are all from grasshoppers. We're getting a lot of the small little common green grasshoppers in here. So I've been pulling them out and throwing them in for the fish. Silvers actually aren't too fussed on the grasshoppers, so yeah. The sage has picked up a little bit. You might notice a little bit of a difference in the landscape over here. I removed the Owen knock that was sitting just behind the rosemary here. It was pretty much all going to shade out a lot of the plants behind it when winter hit, considering the sun will be coming from this angle as I'm facing the beds in the afternoon. So a lot of those plants over the back there would have been shaded out by it. So all I did was give it a little bit of a haircut and then pull it out. And I've moved it over into the far yellow barrel over the back there. It's not getting a lot of sunlight at the moment, but after Bianca and I hook into trimming back the mango tree a bit, it should be getting a lot more morning sun, and it should also get the afternoon sun after we change the shade cloth as well. The other plant that was taking up the majority of this bed was the mushroom herb. It had pretty much all taken over the whole of this bed, probably about a third of this bed, up to where that basil is there, and over the back corner of the bed with the turmeric in it. So it really did need to come back. I've left a fair bit of stalk on there because we do like eating this plant. We just can't keep on top of how much it was producing. You might be able to make out down there that there's a root going down into the grow bed. These guys pretty much will lay down roots wherever they go. So I've taken advantage of that, and I've collected a whole heap of cuttings with the roots on them. I've just got them sitting in here in this container of water, and these guys here, they'll end up finding new homes either around the place here. I've got some patrons from Patreon that interested in some as well. I took some cuttings from the Owen knock, and they're in water, and I've got some more cuttings I've got to just pop in there this afternoon from another plant that I moved, but I'll get to that in a minute. Sorry for the loud sump tank, folks. Just in front of that container with the Owen knock cuttings, I had a large aloe vera. I've pulled that out and I'll place it in the mulch just under the mango, like I have another section, to see if it takes off. I did take pity on a small section though, and I planted it just in the edge of this grow bed here. So we'll see if it takes off. So after the beds were cleaned out, I pretty much all popped in a few little bits and pieces I picked up from the hardware store. I've got a bush bean over the back there, a little clump of sweet basil there. There's a little bush bean down in there, and another one over there. And just down the front here, I sowed out a load of the Chinese red amaranth. They're a very small black seed I've been collecting off the plant. I just scattered them there, and also all over this bed here and over the back bed as well. So just so we've got a little bit of greenery coming up in between the plants. Just down there, that is a rabbit ear lettuce, I think, that's popped up by itself. And my little moringa, they keep dying, losing small branches and then coming back. So the other one around the other side has done the same thing. I'll show you that in a tick. Just down the front here, I have left my garlic chives. Thank you, Vanessa. And the rosemary, it's not really interfering with the bed, so I'll let it be for now. And there's the little red celery I'm trying to get to start to put on some size just down in there. I have a feeling maybe summer was a little bit too hot for it. We'll see how it goes through the cooler months. Down next to this, we have our kangkong. This is the plant that just won't stop growing. It's sending out runners, so many runners. We just can't keep up with it. I tried to give some away to Mum, but she wasn't too interested. And just down in there is one of those blooming grasshoppers, the little common garden grasshoppers we get. So they're pretty much all the ones responsible for munching on all the edges of these leaves. And we do have the little flea beetle just making these little pock marks over the top. But yeah, nothing to worry about. There's one of the little flea beetles down in there now. And there's another grasshopper, blooming pests. Over the back here, the thyme, it's still hanging on. I'm thinking maybe there's enough salt out of the system that it might bounce back. We'll just wait and see. And this moringa, might be a bit hard for you to make out, but there is a little bit of a green growth just at the top there. And the other onions down here, they haven't been doing much chop either, but I have a feeling it could have been because of the shade. Just in front of the turmeric there, we had another rowan knock. I pulled it out this afternoon. Even though it was in a net cup, I got as much clay out of the roots and from the cup itself, and I potted it up into a root pouch, just using some repurposed soil from another planting, added in a little bit of seaweed fertilizer, kelp meal in there, and compost just to add some nutrients. And I've planted it out in the banana root pouch tray, and hopefully it will take off there. I'm fairly sure it will. I've transplanted things out of the aquaponics fine before, like the mulberry tree, so I can't see why this one won't do any good. Over here below the turmeric, which has sent up a nice little shoot, we've got a garlic. That was a leftover clove I found floating around the bed from last year's aquaponic garlic, so I popped it in there, and that there is a perennial leek. I've got some more garlic vernalising up in the fridge. Vernalising is basically where you chill down bulbs so they think they've had a winter, because we don't get it very cold here, and then we'll plant them out in the next week or so, and hopefully we'll get a half decent garlic crop. Some of them may make it into here. I'll just wait and see. I do know that I have to keep this kangkong under control, otherwise it's going to shade out the rest of the bed. So yes, over the back here, poor little Okinawan spinach that was smothered by the mushroom herb, but hopefully it'll bounce back all right. And the gingers, I think I showed these in previous clips, they're slowly bouncing back. I think that did have a lot to do with the salt. There's another little one over there that I thought had rotted and died, but yeah, it's put on some growth. And this is where I put the first Owen knock from the first bed. It's had a very severe haircut, but hopefully it should bounce back all right. So just to give you some idea again, there's the sun just up in there. So this is how dark it gets here. So the neighbours have promised me that they will come out and help me chop this tree, give it a bit of a prune. But yeah, might wait till next season now, we'll just wait and see. Another job I want to tackle on the weekend is swapping the pump out. So what we've got there is a 15,000 litre an hour pump, and I've got a 10,000 litre an hour pump in the system at the moment. It will use a little bit more electricity, it's a 220 watt, but I have found that they never quite run to what they have on the outside, so I'm not too stressed about having too much power being chewed up. We've also got a solar feed-in system on our roof. So just for you folks who are curious, so we are subsidised a little bit in the power that we use in the system here. So I'm pretty chuffed with the amount of real estate we've got to play with now. The chopping back the mushroom herb was long overdue, and moving the Owen knocks as well will let a lot more sun in behind them through winter. Tomorrow we've got to see a woman about a dog in the morning, but on the way home Bianca and I will stop off at a nursery and she can pick out some greens that she wants to grow, and we'll just fill in a few gaps with them as well. Then in the afternoon we need to do the shade cloth, trim the mango and put the pump in. Yeah, I will do a bit of an update clip through the week, just showing you some of the rest of the maintenance that we do tomorrow on the system. You can come along and check that out if you're interested. I'd also like to send out a huge thanks to all the wonderful folks who are supporting us over on Patreon. There's a little bit of a link you can check out there. Takes you to our Patreon page, and there's an honour roll down in the description below. The neighbours are just starting to whippersnip, so I better wrap this up. Yeah, go check it out over on Patreon, see what we post over there, and if you like it, feel free to support us, and I thank you very much if you do. I do hope that you have enjoyed the clip and that your own gardens or aquaponic systems are booming, and I will catch you next time. Cheers folks, have a top one. Cut that one fine, didn't I?